Susan Sharland, President of the CIHT. Managing transport in uncertain times is what we're talking about today at the conference. What are your greatest uncertainties?
Well, that's a good question. What we're focusing on this year, my presidential year at CIHT, is the role of technology and innovation and new practices in transport. That we're surrounded by all sorts of new technologies, smartphones, wireless communications, etc., etc. And these are there to make us safer, to give us better journeys, to reduce environmental impact, but they do yield uncertainty in our profession, but also a lot of opportunity. So what we're trying to do in CIHT across a range of activities, today's conference being one element of that, is to help our members, will inform our members and share best practice, generate discussion forums about how to handle that uncertainty and opportunity,
do you think the industry's got the skills that it needs to embrace this new world of technology? Are we too focused still on tarmac and concrete?
I think the skills will need to evolve over the next few years, and we'll need to work more closely with ICT companies, telecoms and so on, and we're seeing that already happening, but I think skills will need to change as we embrace. And
will that mean CIHT maybe embracing different bodies into its organisation?
I very much hope so, actually, because I think there's a big advantage to those industries that maybe aren't traditional to network with our members, and a huge advantage for our members to actually have access to the thinking and the innovation that's coming around those complementary industries. So yes, I hope membership will widen both personally and corporate members.
Because I suppose you could say, well, does the future for you revolve around the thinking that's going on in, I don't know, consultancies such as Atkins or Arab or whoever, or does the thinking revolve around what's going on in Google?
I think both, actually. I mean, many of our traditional non-standing members are doing some fantastically innovative things and some things with new technology. And of course, we have university members as well. And I think that mix of the contractors, the consultants, the universities, the research organisations is actually producing a lot of innovation. So, but getting the Googles and the newer companies involved as well would add more to that.
All of whom, of course, are very focused on customers, very focused on outcomes.
Indeed,
I mean, that is a big transition that the industry's got to go through.
I think another element of this is actually when we think about our users, it's not about the infrastructure providers or the vehicle manufacturers just providing more technical solutions. It's about how we as users interact with the world and how we want more personalised travel experiences. There's been some surveys recently. The Transport Systems Catapult survey did a survey on user needs and customer experience. That showed that 72% of us own smartphones, and over half of those consider them essential now for their transport experiences, for their travel experiences. And over 39% of people would consider driverless cars today. So our expectations are changing, and it's not just a generational thing. I mean, you could say, well, that's what younger people want and do because the whole sharing economy is part of the way they think. But actually, I think it's right across the demographic as well.
Meeting the needs of and meeting the wants, I suppose, what customers actually want.
Absolutely,
big challenges over the next, I suppose, 5 years. I mean, what will you consider to be success at the end of your presidential year? What do you think you're trying to achieve in this year?
Well, very much, to kind of get everybody talking about this topic, which, they were beforehand. It's not a new topic, certainly. But I think very much, I would like my legacy to be that it continues. This isn't a one-year thing. This is a long-term trend and so on. So I very much hope things we've done this year, like the CIHT Futures project, led by Glenn Lyons, will really start a direction of travel in terms of our, sharing new practice with the industry and so on. So that will be my legacy.
And
people carry on.
And I imagine also showing more female engineers, female transport professionals, that you can actually rise right to the top of this profession.
Very much so. The whole diversity thing is a very big part of my sort of personal passion as well. We're improving. I think it's about 20% of our new members are female, compared to 11 or 12% of our total membership. So that's a really good trend. And I think role models is part of it. But diversity, it's about, we've got a skill shortage. I think one of our speakers said earlier today, we've got a skill shortage. If we can improve our diversity, and that's not just gender diversity, that's across the board, then that's a really good way of doing it. There's such a strong business case to do it, not just a bit about being the right thing to do.
Big challenges ahead. Thanks so much for your comments this morning.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you. Lovely.